They brought her in like contraband, silent, hooded, wrists bound with electromagnetic cuffs. She didn't resist, didn't scream, didn't even look around. To the guards, she was just another human, fragile, unpredictable, and insignificant. But there was something wrong with how she moved. Calm, balanced, like someone who wasn't afraid of where she was going. Inside Cell Block D of the Galactic Empire's outpost on Syrinx, 4, fear was currency. The prison was a cold, spiraling structure embedded deep within an asteroid, designed to break minds before bodies. A place where screams never escaped the stone. She sat cross-legged in her cell, eyes closed, meditating. No one had taught her that. She simply knew it would rattle them. And it did. The guards whispered. No trembling, no panic, no begging. Just a girl, no older than 20, behaving like she was waiting for them. First came the interrogators. A 6-limbed Silurian psychologist who tried empathy first. You're scared, it said softly. You don't need to be. Talk to us. Tell us who sent you. She opened one eye. No one sent me. You crossed an imperial border in restricted space. That's not a coincidence. She shrugged. I was exploring. That's espionage. Only if I was watching. She leaned back against the wall, still calm. The Silurian scribbled notes with trembling fingers and requested reassignment the next day. Then came the mind probes. AI-driven, sanitized, precise. They scanned her brainwaves, heart rate, micro-expressions. Everything came back normal. Too normal. As if she was trained to regulate it all. One AI flagged her file with a single word. Anomalous. Her name was listed as Kira. No last name. The Empire's databases scanned 1,000 variants. Thousands of Kiras across Earth's territories, none matching the biometric ID. It was like she didn't exist. Commander Elric's demanded full disclosure. Your people are fragile, he hissed, claws tapping the table. You lack the strength to challenge us. Kira leaned forward, voice steady. Then why are you trying so hard to figure me out? In the cafeteria, guards talked in hushed tones. She doesn't act like the others, one whispered. She looks at us like she's waiting for something. Another replied, she told me. You're not the first one to lock me up. And smiled. Her cell logs showed strange behavior. She'd hum old Earth tunes. Not rebellious, just eerie. She stared into the surveillance, words like she knew who was on the other side. An alien linguist tried decoding her speech patterns. It was flawless universal trade tongue, but somehow off. Measured, intentionally structured, as if she was performing, playing a part. Then came a change. A mid-ranking officer received a message marked with a level 10 encryption, a level reserved for existential threats. He opened the file and saw a single line. You are holding a Tarsis. His breath caught. The name hit like gravity. He stood up so fast his chair clattered to the floor. His claws shook as he whispered to no one. That name's supposed to be a myth. Another file arrived minutes later, unauthorized, bypassing all firewalls. A historical archive, incidents where the name Tarsis appeared alongside regime changes, vanishing fleets, and dead empires. Always human, always singular. No armies, just individuals. The officer rushed to the command center, voice tight. We need to confirm her identity. If she's who I think she is, we've made a mistake bigger than this prison can hold. In her cell, Kira sat motionless, sensing the shift in the air. The fear wasn't hers now. It was theirs, and it was only just beginning. The encryption cracked after 17 failed attempts, and when the final layer dissolved, silence fell in the Imperial command chamber. Every senior intelligence officer leaned in as the name lit up the central holoscreen. Kira Tarsis. Tarsis. For a moment, no one moved. No one spoke. Then Admiral Vroth whispered, That's impossible. His aide looked confused. Is it code name? No. Vroth muttered, eyes fixed on the data. It's a bloodline. One by one, files surfaced. Redacted operations. Incidents cloaked in myth. A Tarsis had dismantled the Drixon Syndicate in under a week, with words, not weapons. Another had triggered the fall of the Val Empire using nothing but a treaty no one had thought to read closely. And then there was the Terran-Draken conflict, ended overnight after a single Tarsis boarded their warship alone and walked out minutes later. No footage. No survivors. Just a ship that changed course and surrendered. The name wasn't official. It was whispered in intelligence circles in dark war rooms. Tarsis wasn't a rank or role. It was a statement that someone from that line had entered the game. And when that happened, history bent. The Empire had detained one. Meanwhile, in her cell, Kira noticed the change in temperature. Guards no longer barked orders. They stepped lightly, eyes averted. Her meal portions improved. One guard apologized for the lateness of her food. Another asked if she needed extra blankets. They knew, or they were beginning to. In the upper levels, political figures debated the response. If she's truly a Tarsis, we release her, one minister insisted. Quietly, quickly, with an apology and an escort. That'll make us look weak. We already look weak. We held a Tarsis in chains for days. One archivist presented a deep file, the Cassari Accord, a galactic treaty humans were once excluded from, until a Tarsis walked into the assembly and rewrote it in 2 days, leaving over a dozen empires with shredded sovereignty, and none dared retaliate. It wasn't just what they did. It was how. The girl hadn't threatened anyone. She hadn't resisted. She had simply waited, knowing. Her ancestors had reputations carved not from military might, but from psychological dominance. A Tarsis didn't need armies. They had presence, precision, influence honed through generations of silent war. Someone asked, "What's her role now?" No answer. A diplomatic envoy was dispatched, but Earth had already responded. Not with threats, but with presence. 3 Terran dreadnoughts slipped into orbit. Silent. No weapons charged. No transmissions. But their arrival spoke louder than any ultimatum. One Empire scout ship sent back footage of their hulls, marked only with the seal of Earth's high command. No insignias. No banners. Just matte black steel and silence. Back in her cell, Kira sat upright as the distant rumble echoed through the asteroid's core. Her eyes flicked toward the ceiling. They'd come. A nervous lieutenant entered the command chamber. "Orders, sir." "Stand down," the admiral replied. "We don't poke dragons." Inside the cell block, one alien guard dared to speak. "What are you?" She looked at him without blinking. "I'm a Tarsis." He didn't ask again. The Empire released her ID to their highest-ranking officials under strict security. The message at the top read, "Do not speak her name aloud, not even in private." It wasn't superstition. It was survival. The girl they had cuffed and interrogated now sat in the center of a political storm. No demands, no vengeance, just presence. And that was enough. The Empire convened an emergency war council, but no one dared use the word war. 3 Terran dreadnoughts waited in silent orbit, their engines humming at frequencies that disrupted local communications. They hadn't issued a threat. They didn't need to. The message had already been received. Return her. The Empire's grand strategist ran simulations. Every scenario that involved conflict ended the same, total defeat. Not because Earth outgunned them, but because Earth didn't play by the same rules. Tarsis wasn't a tactical anomaly. She was a warning label on an entire species. Inside the prison, Kira's cell was quietly upgraded. No announcement. Her restraints were deactivated. Surveillance was reduced. An officer was assigned to monitor her comfort. When she asked for real coffee, it was delivered without hesitation. Not because they feared her, because they feared what might follow if she remained unsatisfied. A message arrived from Earth, a direct feed from High Command. Simple. 1 sentence. "We expect her returned in perfect condition." No ultimatums. No posturing. Just a reminder. Commanders argued over the wording. It's not even phrased as a demand. Exactly. That's the threat. They don't negotiate with us. They instruct. The prison's administrator received new orders. Initiate full diplomatic release protocol, level 1. Reserved only for ambassadors, heads of state, or, until now, humans whose name turned empires cautious. While diplomats drafted press releases and analysts scrambled to contain the fallout, Kira was informed of her release. She didn't react. No questions. No thanks. Just a nod. An officer, clearly shaken, asked why she hadn't revealed her name earlier. "You would have let me go." she replied. And you needed to learn why that would have been the wrong choice. Earth ships remained still, weapons cold. But the implied message was everywhere. The Empire had been measured and found lacking. The dreadnoughts didn't need to fire. They had shown up. That was enough to redraw political maps. Alien civilizations monitored the situation closely. News spread beyond the Empire's borders. Former neutral species reactivated diplomatic ties with Earth. Trade offers surged. Territories previously contested began realigning. Not from force, but fear. Fear of another Tarsis rising unnoticed. The girl who had arrived hooded and bound was now escorted in ceremonial fashion. She walked the prison halls with guards who looked more like an honor guard than escorts. When they reached the docking bay, she paused, turned, and said nothing. She didn't need to. The officer who had first questioned her saluted, an instinct born from self-preservation more than respect. As she boarded the transport, encrypted files flowed across the Empire's networks. Classified discussions about Earth's diplomatic reach, covert capabilities, and unconfirmed operations tied to the Tarsis name. None denied her lineage now. The risk was too great. The Empire's internal documentation now included a new directive. Human captives must be screened for lineage markers. Unauthorized detainment of any individual flag Tarsis adjacent required immediate escalation to the highest levels. No trial, no charges, no admission of wrongdoing, just a quiet reversal. The girl was gone, but the message remained. Some names carry the weight of consequence. And Earth, without firing a shot, had just redefined its place in the galactic hierarchy. The Empire, once unchallenged, had learned a rule older than diplomacy. You don't cage the storm and expect it to stay silent. Her return to Earth was met with no ceremony, no cameras, no medals. That was by design. The Tarsis name didn't parade victories. It let others write them down in history, wondering if they had been outplayed or simply allowed to exist. Kira walked off the ship without speaking, escorted by two silent operatives from Earth's Diplomatic Protection Division. No words passed between them. They knew who she was, and they knew the kind of silence she represented. The debrief was classified. 2 hours, 12 questions, no notes. The final question asked if she wanted retribution. She declined. The Empire already punished itself, she said. Her statement was accurate. Across the galaxy, subtle tremors followed her release. Trade routes once controlled by the Empire were suddenly rerouted through Terran space. Independent colonies that had remained neutral for decades now opened communications with Earth, citing mutual interests in stability. Imperial consulates in outer sectors reported unusual behavior. Requests from local leaders to negotiate directly with human representatives instead. Kira was offered a high-ranking post. She refused. I don't want a title, she said. I want reach. That was granted. She began operating behind closed doors, embedded in Earth's Interstellar Relations Task Force. No rank, no records, just influence. The kind of presence that turned conference rooms quiet and made veteran diplomats pause before speaking. On one diplomatic mission, an alien minister unfamiliar with her lineage challenged her authority. She responded with a single sentence. I don't command fleets. I redirect trajectories. He didn't ask again. The Empire issued a formal apology weeks after her return. It was buried beneath bureaucratic language, coded in vague phrasing and half-hearted concessions. It didn't matter. The galaxy had already made up its mind. Tarsis had returned. Internal Imperial memos revealed growing dissent among their middle ranks. Officers questioned why they had bowed so quickly. Others argued they hadn't bowed fast enough. One memo, intercepted by Terran intelligence, ended with a grim assessment. It is better to lose pride than planets. Within a month, the Empire revised its first contact protocols. Human identification required triple verification. Suspected Tarsis lineage demanded immediate clearance from a central command. No exceptions. No detainments. Not again. Back on Earth, Kira began mentoring younger operatives, discreetly, carefully. not training them to fight, but to think, to influence, to understand the gravity of names and the weight of perception. She didn't want followers. She wanted successors. During a private summit, a new alien ally, curious and cautious, asked her why the name mattered so much. Her reply was quiet but sharp. Because when a Tarsis walks into the room, no one asks who holds the power. They just check who still breathes afterward. In time, the galaxy adapted. Political maps were redrawn. New alliances emerged. Old rivalries dissolved under Earth's growing shadow, not enforced through conquest, but through quiet acknowledgement. The kind of power that didn't demand recognition because it had already been granted by fear, respect, and memory. Kira Tarsis never needed to make a declaration. She never needed a war. Her name was the war. And from that moment forward, every empire knew. There are humans, and then there are Tarsis.